The warning lights flashed red across Deep Space Research Station 7, casting an eerie glow through the metal corridors. Commander Jack Walker stood at the main observation window, his eyes fixed on the approaching vessel. The ship looked like it had been through hell, its hull torn open in multiple places, with trails of frozen air marking its path through space. "Sir, the vessel matches no known design in our database," reported Tom from his station at the sensors. "But the damage patterns, they look like weapon impacts." Jack ran his hand through his gray-streaked hair, a habit he had developed over his 15 years in space. "Life signs. One, sir, very faint. And—" Tom's voice trembled slightly. "The energy signature is massive for a single life form." The commander made his decision. "Prep the emergency docking bay. Alert medical." "Sir." Ann, his second-in-command, stepped forward. "Protocol states that unknown vessels should be quarantined until—" "Someone out there is dying, Ann." Jack cut her off firmly. "We're not going to float here and watch it happen." The rescue team worked quickly, their magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor as they secured the damaged ship. The vessel's hull was covered in material that seemed to absorb light itself, making it look like a tear in space. When they finally cut through to the main chamber, everyone fell silent. Inside, curled up in what appeared to be a control room, lay a creature that seemed to be made of living shadow. It was massive, easily 15 feet long, with obsidian scales that rippled like oil under the rescue team's lights. Curved claws, each as long as a human forearm, twitched against the metal floor. But what caught Jack's attention were its eyes, golden orbs filled with intelligence and unmistakable pain. "Sir," the medical officer's voice cracked as he checked his scanner. This matches the description of a Death Stalker. They're supposed to be extinct. The Galactic Council ordered their elimination centuries ago because they were too dangerous to exist." The creature's eyes fixed on Jack. Instead of the mindless killer from space legends, he saw something else: fear, pain, and a silent plea for help. It made a soft clicking sound, like stones falling in a cave, and tried to move. Fresh blood, dark as space itself, pooled beneath its wounded body. "Sir, we need to terminate it." Anne's hand moved to her weapon. "Death Stalkers killed entire worlds. They're living weapons. We can't." "Look at its injuries," Jack interrupted. "Plasma burns. Someone was hunting it. This isn't a killer on a rampage. It's a refugee." He stepped forward, despite his team's protests. The creature's eyes followed him. Up close, Jack could see patterns in its scales, swirls that seemed to tell stories he couldn't read. He did something then that made his entire crew gasp. He removed his helmet. "I'm Commander Jack Walker," he said clearly, touching his chest. "We're going to help you." The Death Stalker studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, it lowered its massive head in what was unmistakably a nod. It made more clicking sounds, softer this time, almost musical. "Sir, the translator is picking up patterns," Tom reported, his voice filled with wonder. It's actually talking." "Get the medical bay ready," Jack ordered. "The reinforced one. And someone find me everything we have on Death Stalker biology." He turned to Anne, who still had her hand on her weapon. "This is why we're out here, Anne. Not just to explore space, but to challenge what we think we know. Look at it. Really look. Does this look like the mindless killer from our stories?" The creature tried to rise again, but faltered. Jack stepped closer, ignoring the warnings from his crew. "Easy there. We'll help you walk. What should we call you?" The Death Stalker made a sound like wind through ancient caves. The translator crackled. "Shadow," Tom translated. He's calling himself Shadow." Jack smiled. "Welcome aboard, Shadow. You're safe now." As they helped the massive creature to medical, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this moment would change everything, not just for his small station, but for all of humanity. Sometimes, he thought, the greatest discoveries come not from exploring the stars, but from daring to challenge our deepest fears. 3 days had passed since Shadow arrived on Deep Space Research Station 7, the reinforced medical bay, originally designed to handle dangerous materials, now served as both a recovery room and a source of growing controversy. Jack sat in his usual spot near Shadow's resting area, watching the creature's obsidian scales shift with each breath. The wounds were healing remarkably fast, leaving faint silver lines across the dark surface. Medical sensors beeped steadily in the background. "Your heart rate is much stronger today," Jack said, checking the monitors. He had made these daily visits a routine, despite the constant stream of worried messages from Earth Command. Shadow lifted his massive head, golden eyes focusing on Jack. The clicking sounds he made had become more complex over the days. Thanks to the translation software's learning algorithms, they could now have basic conversations. "Your kindness remains unexpected." Shadow's words came through the translator. "Most species run or shoot. You stayed." Jack smiled. "Well, humans can be surprisingly stubborn about helping others. How did you end up so badly hurt?" Shadow's scales rippled. A gesture they had learned meant deep emotion. "Hunters. Always hunters. They found my hiding place in the outer rim. I escaped, but barely." "Why do they hunt you?" Jack leaned forward, genuinely curious. "All our records about Deathstalkers are filled with warnings, but no real information." Before Shadow could answer, Tom's voice came over the intercom. "Commander, we're receiving multiple emergency broadcasts. From everyone." "Sir." Jack pressed the comm button. "Put them through to my pad." The screen filled with urgent messages from various alien species. All carried the same warning. "Quarantine your station. Deathstalker presence confirmed. Extreme danger. Awake elimination team." "They fear what they do not understand." Shadow clicked softly. "It was always this way. We were peaceful once, did you know? Before fear turned us into weapons." Jack looked up from the messages. "What do you mean?" "My species. We were scholars. Guardians of knowledge. We traveled, learned, shared wisdom with younger races." Shadow's clicking took on a sadder tone. "But our ability to adapt, to change our forms to survive in any environment, it frightened others. They attacked. We adapted, became stronger, faster. Each attack forced us to evolve until you became what they feared most," Jack finished quietly. "Yes." Shadow's massive form seemed to shrink slightly. "Now I am the last, as far as I know. The others, hunted to extinction, or hiding so deep they might never return." The door slid open, and Anne entered with a datapad. She still moved cautiously around Shadow, but her initial fear had given way to professional curiosity. "Sir, Earth Command is demanding a response to the warnings. They're considering compliance with the elimination order." Jack stood up, his face set with determination. "Send them this." He activated his pad's camera and walked closer to Shadow. The creature watched him with interest. "This is Commander Jack Walker of DS-7. I'm recording this from inside the medical bay, less than 3 feet from the being you're all so afraid of." He gestured to Shadow. "In 3 days, he hasn't shown a single sign of aggression. Instead, he's shared knowledge about space regions we've never explored. He's helped us improve our translator algorithms. He's demonstrated intelligence and wisdom that we'd be fools to destroy." Shadow made a surprised clicking sound at Jack's words. "I propose a cultural exchange," Jack continued. "The kind of exchange humanity dreamed of when we first looked to the stars. We'll learn from each other, prove that fear doesn't have to define our future." He ended the recording and looked at Anne. "Send that to Earth Command, and to every species that sent us warnings." "They won't like it," Anne said, but she was smiling slightly. "Probably not," Jack agreed. "But if humans have a special skill, it's changing people's minds about what's possible." He turned to Shadow. "That is, if you're willing to trust us enough to try." Shadow's scales rippled with what they now recognized as amusement. You trusted me first, small human. Perhaps it's time someone trusted you back. As Anne left to send the message, Jack settled back in his chair. Now, tell me more about your people. What were you before fear changed everything? Outside the station's windows, stars twinkled steadily, witnesses to a conversation that could change the course of galactic history, one story at a time. The Neural Interface Room on Deep Space Research Station 7 wasn't designed for beings as large as Shadow. Yet here they were, with the massive creature carefully curled around the modified equipment, while Jack lay on the medical bed nearby, surrounded by monitoring devices. "Are you sure about this, sir?" Tom asked, checking the connection points for the third time. "No human has ever linked minds with a Death Stalker before." "That's exactly why we should try," Jack replied calmly, though his heart was racing. "How else can we truly understand?" Shadow's golden eyes fixed on Jack. "This will not be pleasant. My memories are not happy ones. I need to know," Jack said firmly. "If we're going to defend you against the Coalition, I need to understand everything." Anne stood by the control panel, her fingers hovering over the emergency shutdown. Neural link activating in 3, 2, 1. The world dissolved. Jack found himself floating in darkness. Then suddenly he wasn't Jack anymore. He was young, seeing through different eyes, feeling the weight of different limbs. He was Shadow, but not the Shadow he knew. This was Shadow from long ago. The memory swept him up like a tide. He saw great libraries carved into crystal mountains, where Shadow's people stored the knowledge of 1,000 worlds. Their scales shifted colors as they taught younger species about science, art, and history. They could adapt their forms to survive anywhere, and they used this gift to explore and learn. The scene changed. Fear. He felt it radiating from the younger races, fear of their ability to change, to adapt, to become stronger. The first attacks came from those they had taught. Their libraries burned. Their younglings were hunted. Another shift. The adaptation began. With each attack, their bodies evolved, harder scales, sharper claws, stronger muscles. They had never used these adaptations for violence before, only survival. But now, pain, watching their scholars fall. Their knowledge centers destroyed. Their peaceful nature fought against the changes, but survival drove their evolution. Faster, stronger, more lethal. The memories came faster. Running, always running, watching their numbers dwindle. Some fought back and were destroyed. Others hid in the deepest parts of space. Shadow's family, choosing to scatter across the galaxy. The pain of separation. The loneliness of centuries. Then the final evolution, becoming what the galaxy feared most. The ultimate predator. Not by choice, but by necessity. Jack gasped as Anne pulled him out of the neural link. His face was wet with tears. "Sir," Tom helped him sit up. "Are you all right? Your heart rate was all over the place." "I'm fine," Jack managed, looking at Shadow with new understanding. "I'm more than fine. I finally understand." Shadow's scales rippled with emotion. "You saw everything." Jack stood on shaky legs. "You never wanted to be warriors. You were teachers, explorers. You were peaceful. We were." Shadow clicked softly. "Now I am what fear made me." "No." Jack walked over to the massive creature, placing a hand on the obsidian scales. "You're what survival made you, but that's not all you are." The station's alert system suddenly blared to life. Anne rushed to the nearest console. "Sir, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command." The screen lit up with the stern face of the Earth Defense Council chairman. "Commander Walker, we've reviewed your reports about the Death Stalker. While your unusual approach has provided interesting data, we've reached an agreement with the Galactic Coalition. The creature must be turned over for containment and study." Jack straightened up, his voice firm. "With all due respect, sir, I just experienced their entire history firsthand. They were victims, not aggressors. We're not handing Shadow over to be dissected. This isn't a request, Commander. This is a direct order. Jack looked at Shadow, then back at the screen. Then I guess you'll have to court-martial me, sir, because I've seen the truth, and I won't be part of continuing this injustice. As the chairman spluttered in protest, Jack cut the transmission. The room fell silent except for the soft hum of equipment. You would risk your career? Shadow asked, genuine surprise in his clicking voice. For me. Jack smiled. You know what made humans survive and thrive throughout our history? Our ability to look at something everyone else fears and see the truth behind the legend. He turned to his crew. We're going to need a plan, because I have a feeling things are about to get very interesting around here. The crew exchanged looks. Then Anne stepped forward with a determined smile. Well, sir, making impossible plans is kind of a human specialty, isn't it? The main conference room of Deep Space Research Station 7 had never felt so crowded. On the large view screen, representatives from 12 different alien species filled separate windows, their faces ranging from concerned to openly hostile. Earth's Defense Council occupied the central panel, looking increasingly frustrated. Jack stood at attention, with Shadow's massive form carefully curled around the back of the room. The creature's golden eyes watched the proceedings with ancient wisdom, while the station's crew lined the walls, tense but supportive. Commander Walker, the council chairman's voice carried clear disapproval. You do realize you're risking Earth's standing in the galactic community. The coalition has made their terms clear. Very clear, sir, Jack replied calmly. They want us to hand over a peaceful refugee for execution. That's not happening. A ripple of angry clicks and whistles came from the alien representatives. The regent of the Proxima systems, a tall being with crystalline features, leaned forward. Peaceful? Commander, Deathstalkers destroyed entire worlds. Because you attacked them first, Jack countered. He gestured to Shadow. They were scholars before fear turned them into weapons. I've seen their memories firsthand. The neural link was foolish and dangerous. The chairman cut in. It could have been showing you anything. Shadow moved forward slightly, his scales catching the light. The aliens visibly flinched. I offer to share memories with any who dare to learn truth. His clicks translated clearly through the system. But few show human courage. The Deathstalkers must be eliminated, declared the representative of the Orion Alliance. The coalition has voted. Earth must comply or face sanctions. Anne stepped forward, datapad in hand. Sir, if I may. At Jack's nod, she addressed the screens. I've analyzed the coalition's trade agreements. The sanctions they're threatening would hurt them more than us. Earth's rare minerals and biological diversity make us essential to their economies. Jack smiled slightly. Trust Anne to find practical leverage in a moral crisis. This is bigger than economics, the chairman said tiredly. Commander, I'm trying to protect Earth's future here. We're still new to the galactic community. We can't afford to be seen as harboring dangerous entities. With respect, sir, Jack's voice grew firm. This is exactly why Earth needs to take this stand. Since we joined the galactic community, we've tried to fit in, to follow everyone else's rules. But humanity's greatest strength isn't our ability to follow. It's our ability to look at a situation and say this is wrong, even when everyone else accepts it. Shadow made a soft clicking sound that almost sounded like approval. You're not thinking clearly, the Proxima regent insisted. That creature near you has enough natural weapons to tear your station apart. And yet he hasn't. Tom spoke up from his position near the door. He's been here for weeks, healing, sharing knowledge, helping us improve our translation algorithms. Actions speak louder than ancient fears, don't they? Jack noted how some of the alien representatives shifted uncomfortably at that. I'll make this simple. Jack addressed all the screens. Shadow is under the protection of Deep Space Research Station 7. He's officially requested asylum. and I granted it. Anyone who wants to change that will have to go through us. Us? The chairman asked wearily. My entire crew stands with me, Jack confirmed. And once Earth's public hears about how their government plans to hand over a peaceful refugee to be executed without trial, well, humans tend to have strong opinions about things like that. Anne held up her datapad again. We're already receiving support messages from human rights organizations across Earth. The story's going viral, sir. The chairman closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, there was a hint of grudging respect there. You've put us in quite a position, Commander. I've put us on the right side of history, sir, Jack corrected. Isn't that where Earth should be? Shadow moved forward, his massive form somehow managing to look non-threatening. I offer knowledge. Friendship. Choose wisdom over fear. Is this not better path? The conference room fell silent as the various representatives looked at each other across their screens. The chairman glanced at the mounting public support data on his own display and sighed. We'll need time to reconsider our position, he said finally. In the meantime, Commander Walker, keep your guest safe. As the screens went dark one by one, Jack turned to Shadow. Well, that could have gone worse. Humans. Shadow clicked with what sounded like amusement. You make impossible things happen by simply refusing to believe they are impossible. That's kind of our specialty, Jack grinned. Now we just have to figure out what comes next. Anne looked up from her datapad, her face serious. Sir, we're picking up multiple ships entering the system. I don't think everyone's ready to take no for an answer. Jack's grin faded, but his determination didn't. Then I guess it's time to show them another human specialty, protecting our friends, no matter the odds. Red alert klaxons wailed through Deep Space Research Station 7 as Jack rushed onto the bridge. The main screen showed 5 warships approaching, their weapons clearly powered up. Status report, he called out, sliding into his command chair. 5 vessels, sir, Tom responded from his station. 2 Proxima destroyers, 2 Orion battle cruisers, and 1. Well, we're not sure what that last one is, but it's big. Anne's fingers flew across her tactical console. They're spreading out to surround us. Standard containment formation. Shadow moved silently onto the bridge, his massive form making the room seem smaller. Hunter ships, he clicked softly. The large one belongs to the guild. Professional killers. Time to shields failing if they all open fire, Jack asked. Standard shields. 2 minutes at best, Anne replied grimly. We're a research station, not a warship. Jack smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. Good thing we're researchers then. Tom, remember that experimental shield modification you were working on? Tom's eyes widened. Sir, that's not tested. I was trying to adapt Shadow's scale patterns into our shield harmonics, but... Sounds like a perfect time to test it, Jack interrupted. Get it online. The incoming ship's engines flared as they took final attack positions. They're hailing us, Anne reported. On screen, the guild hunter's face appeared, a scared being with cybernetic implants covering half its head. Research Station 7, this is your only warning. Surrender the Death Stalker, or we will take it by force. Jack leaned forward in his chair. This is Commander Walker. We're a civilian research facility. Attacking us would violate at least 15 galactic laws. Laws don't apply to contaminated stations, the hunter replied coldly. You have 5 minutes to comply. The screen went dark. Well, Jack said cheerfully, they're actually giving us 5 minutes. That's nice of them. He hit his comm button. Engine room, how's our power? All systems at maximum, sir, came the reply, including those new modifications you asked for. Good. Jack turned to his crew. Remember all those science projects we've been working on. Time to get creative. Anne, load the experimental shield program. Tom, get ready with your gravity pulse idea. Shadow watched with growing interest as the humans rushed around the bridge, repurposing scientific equipment into makeshift defenses. "Sir," Tom called out. "First ship is powering up weapons." "Tom, activate the gravity pulse generators. Let's see if your theory works." The nearest Proxima destroyer fired, but instead of hitting the station, its energy beams curved away, caught in a twisted gravity field. "It worked," Tom shouted excitedly. "The concentrated gravity wells are bending their weapon fire." "Anne, how's that shield coming?" "Online now, sir. Shadow's scale pattern integrated into the harmonics." It showed. She was cut off as all 5 ships opened fire at once. The station shook, but the new shields held, rippling with an obsidian sheen just like Shadow's scales. "Fascinating." Shadow clicked, watching the display. "You adapted my natural defenses into your technology in mere weeks. Humans are good at improvising." Jack grinned. "And remember those sensor buoys we were using to study spatial anomalies?" She smiled suddenly. "The ones with the electromagnetic pulse generators. Already on it, sir." 4 small buoys shot out from the station, positioning themselves around the attacking ships. When they activated, the guild ship's systems visibly flickered. "Their shields are weakening," Tom reported. "The pulses are interfering with their power distribution, just like in the lab tests." The hunter's face appeared on screen again, now showing concern. "What are you doing?" "These are banned warfare techniques." "Actually," Jack replied calmly, "everything we're using is registered scientific research equipment. Check your logs. We're just being creative with our experiments." Shadow moved forward, his golden eyes fixing on the hunter's image. "Your weapons cannot penetrate scales you do not understand. Your tactics cannot predict humans you underestimate. Choose wisely." The station rocked again as the ships tried another attack pattern, but the modified shields held firm. "Sir," Anne reported with a hint of pride, "Earth Command is responding to our distress call. 2 patrol fleets are on their way. ETA 20 minutes. Jack nodded. "Hear that?" He addressed the hunter. "You have about 19 minutes to reconsider your life choices." The attacking ships held position, clearly uncertain. Their coordinated attack had been countered by scientific equipment and human ingenuity. "Commander," Shadow clicked softly, "your species continues to surprise me. You fight not with weapons of war, but with tools of learning." "That's the thing about humans," Jack replied, as they watched the hunter ships begin to retreat. "We're at our best when we're turning the impossible into the possible. Now let's see about improving those shield harmonics further. I have a feeling we might need them again." The crew returned to their stations, spirits high. They had just proved that human creativity and trust could overcome even the deadliest of threats. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Jack wondered if that wasn't the real reason the galaxy feared them welcoming the Death Stalker, not because of Shadow's deadly abilities, but because of humanity's endless capacity to change the rules of what was possible. Deep Space Research Station 7's main laboratory was crowded with holographic displays. Ancient star maps floated in the air, showing trade routes that hadn't been used in centuries. Jack, Shadow, and the crew had been studying these records for hours since the attack ended. "Look at this pattern," Anne said, pointing to a series of dots across the maps. These weren't just random Death Stalker sightings. They were guarding something. Shadow's scales rippled with approval. "Yes, finally, humans see what others forgot." Jack stepped closer to the display, his eyes tracing the ancient routes. "These spots you were protecting. They're all young civilizations, aren't they? Species just starting to reach for the stars." "We were guardians," Shadow clicked softly. "Before fear changed us, young races needed protection from those who would exploit them. We watched. We taught. We defended." Tom pulled up another display, this one showing trade records. "Sir, look at these dates. The attacks on Shadow's people started right after the Proxima systems began their expansion period. Because you stood in their way," Jack realized. "You prevented them from taking advantage of younger species." Shadow's golden eyes seemed to glow with old memories. We believed all races deserved chance to grow at own pace. Some disagreed, wanted quick profits, easy conquests. Anne's fingers flew across her console, bringing up more records. The Coalition didn't just attack you because they feared your abilities. They attacked because you were protecting their potential victims. And when they couldn't beat you in a fair fight, Jack continued, anger creeping into his voice, they turned the galaxy against you, made everyone see you as monsters. The lab door slid open as a junior officer rushed in. Commander, Earth Defense Council is calling. They say it's urgent. The main screen lit up, showing the chairman's face. But this time, he wasn't alone. Representatives from several Earth governments were with him. Commander Walker, the chairman began, we've been reviewing the data you sent about the Death Stalker's true history. If these records are accurate, they are, Jack confirmed. Shadow's people weren't the threat. They were preventing threats, protecting younger civilizations from exploitation. One of the government representatives leaned forward, like someone might need to protect Earth. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. We're a young species in galactic terms, Jack said carefully. New to space travel, rich in resources, exactly the kind of civilization the Death Stalkers used to protect. Shadow moved forward, his massive form somehow managing to look diplomatic. Earth shows same spirit we once had. You protect weak. Question authority. Seek truth behind lies. The chairman rubbed his temples. The Coalition won't like this getting out. If other young species learn they've been manipulated. Perhaps, one of the representatives suggested, Earth should take a more active role in galactic politics, with our unique perspective on the situation. Jack looked at Shadow, then back at the screen. Sir, I think I know why Shadow came to us. Of all the places he could have hidden, he chose to trust humans, because we're exactly what the galaxy needs right now. New Guardians. Shadow clicked in agreement. Not through fear, through understanding, through friendship, as it should have been. The chairman straightened in his chair. Commander, keep gathering evidence. Earth's position in the Coalition just became a lot more interesting. After the transmission ended, Jack turned to Shadow. There are others of your kind out there, aren't there? Hiding, like you were. Yes. Scattered. Waiting. Then we should find them. Jack smiled. Show them that not everyone believes the lies. That humans are ready to stand with them. Anne looked up from her console, her face serious but hopeful. Sir, I'm already detecting unusual energy signatures in 3 distant sectors. They match Shadow's readings. More of my kind. Shadow's clicking carried a note of hope. Perhaps time of hiding ends. Jack placed a hand on Shadow's scaled side. The Coalition tried to write your history in fear, but they forgot something important. What that? Shadow asked. Humans love proving everyone wrong, especially when it comes to making friends. Jack turned to his crew. Let's get to work. We have a galaxy of lies to fix, and some new old friends to find. As the crew began plotting search patterns, Shadow watched them with growing amazement. These humans had not only accepted him, but were ready to help restore his people's true purpose. Perhaps this was why the galaxy truly feared human involvement, not their weapons or technology, but their stubborn ability to see hope where others saw only darkness. 1 year had passed since the events at Deep Space Research Station 7. The station had grown, with new wings added to accommodate its expanded mission. Through its viewing windows, Earth's first interspecies academy could be seen under construction, a massive structure that would soon host beings from across the galaxy. Jack stood in the new observation deck, watching a group of young human cadets listening intently to Shadow. The massive creature's scales gleamed as he demonstrated how different species adapted to space travel. And that is why Shadow's clicks translated smoothly through the improved translator. Understanding other species matters more than fearing them. The cadets nodded, taking notes. None of them showed any fear of the creature that just 1 year ago had been considered the galaxy's most dangerous predator. Instead, they watched with fascination as Shadow changed his scale patterns to show different stellar phenomena. "Commander," Anne called from the doorway. "The latest report from the search teams." Jack took the data pad, smiling as he read. 3 more found this month. Shadow's people are really starting to trust us. 17 Death Stalkers total now," Anne confirmed, all of them choosing to work with humans instead of hiding. Through another window, Jack could see one of the newer arrivals teaching a group of scientists about ancient space routes. Its silver-black scales rippled as it drew star maps in the air with its claws. "Sir," Tom's voice came over the comm. "The Coalition representatives have arrived for the conference." Right on time, Jack straightened his uniform. Let's not keep them waiting. The main conference room had been redesigned to accommodate beings of all sizes. The Coalition representatives, including the Proxima Regent and several others who had once demanded Shadow's elimination, sat uncomfortably as Earth's delegation entered. Shadow moved to Jack's side as they took their seats. Another Deathstalker, Pearl, named for her unusually light scales, positioned herself near Earth's chief ambassador. "This meeting of the Galactic Coalition is now in session," the chairman announced. "Earth's proposal for the Interspecies Protection Initiative is on the agenda." Jack stood. The evidence is clear. For centuries, younger civilizations have been subjected to economic exploitation and cultural pressure. The Death Stalkers once protected these races, giving them time to develop naturally. Earth proposes to restore this protection, working alongside our Death Stalker allies. "You want to police the galaxy?" the Proxima Regent asked skeptically. "No," Jack smiled. "We want to teach the galaxy. Every species that joins our academy will learn from both humans and Death Stalkers. Understanding breaks down fear. Knowledge defeats prejudice." Pearl stepped forward, her light scales shimmering. Already, 7 young civilizations have requested admission to the Academy. They seek what we once offered, guidance without exploitation. The Coalition members muttered among themselves. The chairman cleared his throat. "And if we oppose this initiative, then Earth will proceed anyway," Jack said calmly. "But consider this. Wouldn't you rather be part of shaping the future than trying to preserve old fears?" After the meeting, Jack and Shadow stood watching the construction of the Academy. More ships arrived daily, bringing materials and new students eager to learn. "Did you plan this?" Jack asked suddenly. "Coming to our station that day?" Shadow's scales rippled with amusement. "Planned to survive. Found something better. Found hope. And now everything's changing," Jack mused. "The Death Stalkers are teaching again. Humans are helping protect younger races. The Coalition is actually starting to listen. Because humans prove nothing impossible." Shadow clicked softly. "You see friend and monster, truth and lies, hope and darkness. You change galaxy just by being human." A group of new students walked past, humans and aliens together, talking excitedly about their upcoming classes. Among them was a young Death Stalker, scales still bright with youth, chatting happily with its classmates. "You know what the best part is?" Jack smiled, watching them. "We're just getting started." Shadow's golden eyes gleamed with approval. "New beginning. For my people. For humans. For galaxy. And all because one Death Stalker took a chance on humanity." Jack laughed. "I guess sometimes the scariest thing in the universe isn't a predator or a weapon." "What then?" Shadow asked. "Friendship," Jack replied. "Because real friendship doesn't just change people, it changes everything." As they watched the Academy taking shape before them, both human and Death Stalker knew this was more than just a new beginning. It was proof that in a universe of endless possibilities, the greatest power wasn't in weapons or fear, but in the simple choice to see past differences and extend a hand, or in Shadow's case, a claw, in friendship. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what both species had hoped for.